welcome to Faith Walk. So today we're going to be taking a look at Daniel. I decided to study the book of Daniel. It is one of my favorite books of the Bible. I just think that there's a lot to unpack in there. Daniel was an amazingly faithful man. And so I don't know, I was really interested in it, so I thought I would do that. So today we're going to look at Daniel 1, and that's going to be verses 1 through 21. To start off, so I did get these little notes, cliff notes kind of things, when I got them from Faith Womack. You can check out her channel, but they basically look like that. And if you watch my other video, you'll see how I kind of set those up in my Bible. There's a lot of really good information on here to kind of set the timeline and the outline of Daniel. So basically chapters 1 through 6, those are narrative stories, and they're mostly in Aramaic. And then you have chapters 7 through 12, which are visions, and those are mostly in Hebrew. The major theme for this book is God's sovereignty. It says God holds ultimate rule and reign, not man. So as I was looking through, I have so many Bibles, different versions of Bibles. My study Bible is, I think it's NASB, my journaling Bible. And then this Bible, which I got and has a review on, this one, which I love. This is ESV. And so this one gives you a whole outline of Daniel and everything about it. So I made some notes about this. And so Daniel, his name means God is my judge. And when we go through the verses, you'll see his name gets changed. Another interesting fact was the book covers more than 70 years of Daniel's life. So I thought that was interesting. Also, this is the hope of the people of God during the Gentiles. It refer me back to Luke 21:24 and Romans 11:25 if you guys wanted to take a look at that. By the way, I made this really neat book from Dollar Tree. It's just a composition with wallpaper sticky on it, and then I just embellished the inside. So super cheap way to make a really cute book. What I plan on doing is putting each book that I study on the outside of here. So I'm going to make some little labels for myself for those. So cheap way to do it if you're looking. Let's start off with Daniel 1. I'll start off in the first several verses here. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord handed Jehoiakim, king of Judah, over to him, along with some of the vessels of the house of God. And he brought them to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God, and he brought the vessels into the treasury of his God. So that's verses 1 through 2. So this is the starting of the Babylonian exile. This is a result of the Lord's judgment on his people, the Israelites. This also fulfills the prophecy of Isaiah. He prophesies to King Hezekiah, and he showed his treasures to Babylon in order to connect with them or form like an alliance, I guess you could say. So when it talks about he brought the vessels into the treasury of his God, that's how he knew about them, because Hezekiah had shown those treasures to Babylon previously. So that's how he knew about those. So moving on to verse 3. Then the king told Ashpenaz, the chief of his officials, to bring in some of the sons of Israel, including some of the royal family and of the nobles, the youths in whom was no impairment, who were good-looking, suitable for instruction in every kind of expertise, endowed with understanding and discerning knowledge, and who had the ability to serve in the king's court. And he ordered Ashpenaz to teach them the literature and language of the Chaldeans. The king also allotted for them a daily ration from the king's choice food, and from the wine which he drank, and ordered that they be educated for 3 years, at the end of which they were to enter the king's personal service. Now among them from the sons of Judah were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Then the commander of the officials assigned new names to them, and to Daniel he assigned the name Belteshazzar, to Hananiah Shadrach, to Mishael Meshach, and to Azariah Abednego. First of all, they were looking for nobility or royalty, basically, and young folks, right, who were, they say, handsome, showed understanding and discerning knowledge. They had the ability to serve the king's court. And so that's when they took Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. They also said they were going to teach them Chaldeans. I hope I'm saying that right. So I looked that up because I was a little bit curious about that. It is an ancient university-style education in Sumerian, Akkadian, and Aramaic. So that's what it said about that when I looked it up. Also of note, if you note the name changes. So Daniel was God is my judge. Belteshazzar was Bel protect him. So he's changing their names to assimilate them into his culture with his God. So now Daniel's name stands for Bel protect him. Hananiah was God has been gracious. And now he's Shadrach, which is the command of Aku. Mishael, who is what God is. That's what his name stands for. And Meshach is who is what Aku is. And Azariah is the Lord has helped. And Abednego is servant to Nebo. So they're taking away not only their names, which stands for something, their identity, but also their culture, bringing them into an unknown place, unfamiliar, has different beliefs, right? So they're kind of stripping them of all of those things. Moving on to verse 8. This is underneath Daniel's resolve. So it says, but Daniel made up his mind that he would not defile himself with the king's choice food or with the wine which he drank. So he sought permission from the commander of the officials that he might not defile himself. Now God granted Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the commander of the officials. The commander of the officials said to Daniel, I am afraid of my lord the king, who has allotted your food and your drink, for why should he see your faces looking gaunt in comparison to the youths who are your own age? Then you would make me forfeit my head to the king. But Daniel said to the overseer, whom the commander of the officials had appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please put your servants to the test for 10 days, and let us be given some vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our appearance be determined in your presence, and the appearance of the youths who are eating the king's choice food, and deal with your servants according to what you see. Okay, so there's a couple of different reasons why they say that they didn't want to be defiled. You know, it was unclean food is one of them. You know, they felt that this was unclean food where, you know, they're more eating vegetables and things from seeds versus meats and things like that. There's a couple different reasons why the scholars thought that, you know, they wanted to do this. That's probably, you know, a great reason is because they don't want to become unclean or defiled in God's eyes. So as you can see, God showed favor already on Daniel and his friends because he gave him favor so that when he spoke with the commander listened to him and listened to his proposition, which was very, very smart, right? Test us for 10 days. You know, let's see if we have a better appearance, if, you know, we look good, if, you know, this works, right? So he was very, very smart in doing that. So in that favor, it's only God's spirit that could have convinced the commander to disobey the king. So he's really, even by giving this test, disobeying, right, what the king wants him to do, which is to serve them the food from the court. So I'm reading on from 14. So he listened to them in this manner and put them to the test for 10 days. And at the end of 10 days, their appearance seemed better, and they were fatter than all the youths who had been eating the king's choice food. So the overseer continued to withhold their choice food and the wine they were to drink, and kept giving them vegetables. And as for these 4 youths, God gave them knowledge and intelligence in every kind of literature and expertise. Daniel even understood all kinds of visions and dreams. Then at the end of the days which the king had specified for presenting them, the commander of the officials presenting them before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king talked with them, and out of them all, not one was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered into the king's personal service. As for every matter of expertise and understanding about which the king consulted them, he found them 10 times better than all the soothsayer, priests, and conjurers who were all in his realm. And Daniel continued until the 1st year of Cyrus the king. Now this starts on 605 BC. Is when this starts. And the 1st year of Cyrus the king is noted as 539 BC. So already you can see that Daniel and his friends have God's favor, and specifically Daniel, because they were all given these different things, right? They were all given knowledge and intelligence of every kind of literature and expertise. But Daniel was given the understanding of visions and dreams, which will come into play actually in section 2 here. So the biggest thing about Daniel is that it has a historical narrative of it, because it's telling you what happened during the time, but it also has prophecy in it. So Daniel and Ezekiel in particular have a lot of prophecy into the end times. You will be able to see some parallels even between those books and Revelations, right? So I hope you enjoyed the first part of this study. This was Daniel 1, and the next one will be Daniel 2. We'll try to hit all of Daniel 2. It depends on how long these different chapters are. But if you have any comments, I would love to hear them. Let me know how you like this book of Daniel. We'll try to take it chunk by chunk. All right, well, thank you for watching and spending the time with me, and don't forget to like and subscribe.